Hi guys, it's me Terri of the Yarnjoy podcast. Welcome back to another tutorial. In today's tutorial, we're going to make this cute, adorable little Santa Christmas ornament. Okay, this is a pattern by Yarnspirations, and there is it's a very versatile pattern. You use the basic parts, and then you can there's different variations where you can turn it into Santa like I did here, or Mrs. Claus, an angel, or a snowman. So in today's video we're going to use the pattern to create this Santa. Okay, so follow along and I will tell you what materials you need and we will get right on it. Okay, so for our Santa ornament, we are going to need a color for Santa's face. I'm using this, I'm using all worsted weight yarn for this project. I'm using, this is Vanna's Choice in the colorway Fisherman, I believe, but any color you feel like is a nice, good skin color. Very pale pink might work as well, or maybe a very light peach. But don't pick white because you'll need the white for the beard and the brim of his hat. Okay, so anyway, this is what I'm using. It's called Fisherman, Vanna's Choice. Okay, and then for his beard and the cuff of his hat, I'm going to be using this scrap ball I have of a white worsted weight. Okay. For his hat, I have this is from out of my scrap basket, but it is a I don't know if you can see. Yeah, see? It's got sparkle in it. It's some sort of sparkle metallic red yarn that I had forever, and this is all I've got left of it. So I'm going to use this for his hat. Okay, you're going to need the white. I also have this black, but now this is DK weight yarn, and I'm just going to be using this to embroidery on his eyes, and so that's all I'll need this for. Just a very tiny amount. Let's see what else. We're going to need fiberfill, okay, to stuff his head. The crochet hook I am using is a F hook, 3.75 millimeter. Now the pattern calls for a G hook, which is a 4 millimeter hook. You're welcome to use that. When I'm doing something that's going to be stuffed, I prefer to use an F hook instead, or smaller, and so this is the one I'm going to be using. Of course, you're going to need a yarn needle to sew in your ends and sew on the eyes and the mouth. Oh, and for the mouth, you're also going to need a very small amount of red if you want to use red for his little smile, and you can use some red yarn and just kind of separate the strands and make it smaller, or if you have embroidery thread that's red, you can use that. You're going to need a stitch marker, and you're going to need some scissors and the pattern, and I think that's it. So let's get started, okay? So for the Santa version of this ornament, we are going to do the basic head, or let's see, yeah, we're going to do the basic head shape, okay? It says in the pattern, all instructions, it's all versions for the head, okay? And so with the main color, which since we are doing the head, I'm going to use this Fisherman color since I'm going to be doing the Santa one. If you're going to be making the snowman, you'll be using the same pattern for this basic head part, but you of course would use white for this main color instead of the Fisherman. Okay, so it says with the main color, chain 2. Okay, so I'm going to attach my yarn onto my hook with a slip knot. Okay, and now I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2. And so for the first round, it says 6 single crochets into that second chain from the hook. Okay, so I'm going to do 6 single crochets right into that second chain. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm just going to work around the circle. So now that I've done 3 of them, I need to do 3 more. So then now I'm going to work over this beginning tail. 4, 5, and 6. Oops. Okay, you can pull on this beginning tail a little bit to tighten up that circle. okay? And then let's see, it does say that we're going to join in this with a slip stitch to the first single crochet, so let's do that. We insert our hook into the first single crochet of the round and just do a slip stitch. Oops, I have to do that again. Slip stitch. Okay, there you go. Okay, so that was round 1. Now I'm going to chain 1 and go on to round 2. For round 2, it says to do an increase in each stitch around, which means doing 2 single crochets in each stitch around. Right now we have a stitch count of 6. When we get finished with round 2, we will have a stitch count of 12. So going right into that first single crochet, I'm going to put 2 single crochets into that first stitch. Okay, 1 and 2. Then I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to put a marker in the first of those 2 single crochets that we just made, okay, just to mark the beginning of my round, okay. And now I'm going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around, and at the end of round 2 we will have 12 single crochets for our count, our stitch count, okay. So I'm going to finish doing that and I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I've just got back to the marker. I now have 12 single crochets around my circle. Going on to, and it does say we're going to join, in this pattern we're going to join with the slip stitch at the end to join our rounds with each round, okay? So I'm going to take my marker out and I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet of the round to join my round, okay? Okay, so round 3 we're going to chain 1, and then it says we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch, okay? So in this first stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Place our marker in the first of those 2 stitches that we just made. Okay, so in that first stitch we did 2 single crochets. The next stitch we're going to do 1 single crochet, okay? And then that's our sequence. The next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then the next stitch we're going to do 1 single crochet, okay? So repeat that sequence all the way around and I will meet you when we get back to the marker. Okay, I just finished round 3. I'm going to remove my marker and I'm going to slip stitch into that first stitch to join my round, okay? And so now at the end of round 3 you should have a stitch count of 18 stitches all the way around your circle, okay? Going on to round 4, we're going to chain 1 and then we're going to do 2 single crochets into that first single crochet, okay, of the round, 2 of them. We're going to put our marker in the first of those 2 single crochets that we just made, okay? And then going on with our sequence for this round, we did 2 single crochets in the first stitch. Now I'm going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 in the next stitch and then 1 in the next stitch, okay? So that's our sequence. Let me pull out some more yarn. That's our sequence for this round. We're going to do 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 and 2. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches. So 1 in the next stitch and 1 in the next stitch, okay? So repeat that sequence all the way around and I will meet you when we get back to the marker. Okay, so I just got back to the marker again, and that is the end of round 4. At the end of round 4 you should have 24 stitches all the way around your circle. I'm going to take out my marker and I'm going to join my round by slip stitching into that stitch where the marker was, which was the first stitch of that round, okay? Okay, on to round 5. We're going to chain 1 and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in that first stitch, so 1 and 2, okay? We're going to pick up our marker and we're going to put it back into the first stitch of those 2 that we just made, okay? Okay, going on with our sequence for this round, we did 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 3 stitches. So 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And that is our sequence for this round, okay? We're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet each in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3, okay? So follow that sequence all the way around and I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I just got back to the marker, and that was the end of round 5. So at the end of round 5, we should have 30 stitches around our circle now, okay? So now I'm going to take out my marker, and I'm going to slip stitch into that first stitch to finish off my round, okay? Chain 1, and then let's go on to round 6. Round 6, we're going to chain 1, and then all we're going to do is just do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, okay? So let's do that. So we're going to do single crochet in our first stitch, just 1 stitch, okay? We're not going to increase anymore. We're going to keep our stitch count at 30, okay? So I'm going to put my marker in my first stitch just to mark the beginning of that round, and now I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, and I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I just finished round 6, and I still have 30 stitches all the way around my circle, and as you can see, my piece is trying to curl up like a bowl, and so at this point I want to make sure that I fold that down, because the surface that you're looking at is the right side of your work, and so we want that on the outside of our head, or the side that you're going to see, okay? So just go ahead and if it was curling up like a bowl, then go ahead and fold it out, so then it's going to be like the top of a ball, okay? Okay, so that was the end of round 6. We still have 30 stitches all the way around. I'm going to remove my marker and slip stitch into that first stitch to finish off my round, okay? And now in the instructions it says that we're going to repeat that last round number 6. We're going to repeat it with just 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, not increasing or decreasing our stitch count. And we're going to repeat that 6 more times, okay? Because we're just growing our the head there, okay? Or making it bigger. Okay, so go ahead and do that. You're going to chain 1, and then you're going to single crochet into that first stitch, so that way you can put your marker in there, okay? And then repeat the last round. We're going to do that 6 times, so that would be rounds 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, okay? So do that 1 stitch in each stitch around, and just move your marker each time to the first stitch of each additional round, and we're going to do that, and I will meet you back when I get to the end of round 12, okay? Okay, so I just finished round 12, and I removed my marker. Now I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into that first stitch of the round to join my round, okay? So going on to round 13, I'm going to chain 1, and then now I'm going to start doing my decreases. The pattern says to do 2 single crochet 2 together for our decrease, but I like, when I'm doing amigurumi or anything that's stuffed, I like to do an invisible decrease instead, so that's what I'm going to do. So to do an invisible decrease, we're going to take our hook and go under the front loop only of the first stitch, and then kind of twist our hook around, and we're going to go under the front loop only of the next stitch as well, and then we're going to make our single crochet, okay? So that is my invisible decrease, and that is also the first stitch in that round. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to put that into that first stitch, or that invisible decrease that we just made, okay? Okay, so now going on to for this sequence, we're going to single crochet 1 time in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's our sequence for this round. We're going to do an invisible decrease, so around under the front loops only of the next 2 stitches, like that, together, and then do our single crochet. Okay, so that's our invisible decrease, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so do that sequence all the way around, and I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I just finished round 13. I now have a stitch count. Instead of 30, we now have a stitch count of 24 stitches all the way around our circle, okay? So going on to round 14, I'm going to remove my marker, slip stitch into that first single crochet there to join our round, chain 1, and then go on to the instructions, and it says to do a decrease stitch, or I'm going to be doing the invisible decrease stitch in the first 2 stitches, over the first 2 stitches. So I'm doing it the same way I just showed you a while ago. Okay, so that's our invisible decrease, and that's also the first stitch of that round, so I'm going to put my marker in there. Okay, and now I'm going to do 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. Okay, and that's our sequence for this round. So we're going to do an invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches, and then 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. See that? Okay, so repeat that sequence all the way around, and I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I'm at the end of that round, and we went down from a stitch count of 24. We should have a stitch count of 18 stitches around our circle. Okay. Okay, so going on to the next round of decreases, I'm going to do a invisible decrease over the first 2 stitches, and then I'm going to put my marker in there in that stitch we just made, because that's the first stitch of the round. And now I'm just going to single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so that's our sequence. We're going to do an invisible decrease in the next over the next 2 stitches. Okay, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so repeat that sequence all the way around, and I'll meet you back when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I just finished that round. We now have a round count of 12 single crochets around our circle. Okay, a stitch count. Okay, now we're going to, before going any further, we're going to pull up our yarn a little bit and take our hook out, and then we're going to stuff our head. Okay, just take small pieces at a time and stuff our head. And we want to stuff it pretty firmly. Okay, so I got my head stuffed, and we can always put in a little bit more stuffing right at the top as we're closing up in this next round, okay, if we feel like there's not enough stuffing in there. So we're going to remove our marker, slip stitch into that first stitch to fasten off that previous round, okay, chain 1, and now since we have 12 stitches around our circle, we're going to do an invisible decrease all the way around with no single crochets in between them. Okay, and so that will bring our stitch count down from 12 down to 6. Okay, so we're just doing an invisible decrease, and you can either put your marker into that first stitch, or you can just count, because you're going to do 6 of them. Okay, so there's 1, doing invisible decreases, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and so I've done 4. I think maybe I want to put just a tad more stuffing in there. Okay, and now continuing with the invisible decreases, I did 4 of them. So 5 is the next one right here. That's, oops, 5. Okay, and then 1 more. 6. Okay. Okay, so now let's finish off our head. And it just says to fasten off. Okay, so I'm going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch to fasten off that round. Okay, and now I'm going to cut just a very small amount of yarn. We don't need a lot, because we're not going to be using this for sewing. We're just going to be weaving it in. So now I'm going to pull up on my yarn, since I did a slip stitch, and I'm just going to pull it all the way through. Okay, now I'm going to take my yarn needle and put this tail onto the needle, and then I'm going to go around the circle in the front loops only. So the next stitch I'm going to do from the front to the back, okay? And then the next stitch I'm going to do from the back, the inside to the outside, front loops only. And I'm going to alternate that all the way around. So this one I'm going to do from the front to the back, or the outside to the inside, see? And the next one I'm going to do from the inside to the outside, okay? And I'll do that all the way around. Okay, and then you're going to pull on it and see it draws it up. It closes it up. See that? Okay. And just kind of mold our head there. And then we're going to take this yarn tail and we're just going to pull it to the inside of the head. Maybe go 2 different directions. Okay, just like that. And then you can take your yarn needle next to where the yarn tail came out, and then just kind of pull that like that. Pull it from the inside, and that will bring that yarn tail in. If you have any more sticking out, you can always trim it. Okay. So there's our head. Okay, so let's go on to the next part of the instructions. We need to look. That was the basic head shape, and so now I'm going to look on here on my phone and get to the part of this instructions that says the Santa version, and it says we're going to do the hat, work on the hat. So with color A, which color A is on the Santa version, color A is white. Okay, so we're going to take our white yarn, and I'm going to set my head aside here. Okay, and then with our white yarn it says to chain 30, so I'm going to put the yarn on the hook or attach it to the hook with a slip knot. Leave a little bit of a beginning tail, and then I'm going to chain 30. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, just like that. So continue on till you get to 30. And I will meet you when I get 30 chains on my hook. Okay, so I got 30 chains that I just made with my hook. And then it says to join, you're going to make a ring. So that you want to try not to get your yarn twisted, your chain twisted, and you're going to single crochet into the first the first chain that you made at the end of your tail. Okay, you do a slip stitch there, sorry, slip stitch. Okay, now we have our ring here. Okay, now it says to chain 2, 1, 2, okay, and then it says that this chain 2 does not count as for our stitches, okay, and it says do 1 half double crochet in each chain all the way around. So we're going to do a half double crochet. So we need to do a half double crochet back into that same chain that we joined into, since that chain 2 does not count as 1, it says. So half double crochet. So we're going to do a half double crochet all the way around. We should have 30 half double crochets around our ring, not counting that chain 2. And I will meet you when I get my finish my 30 half double crochets. Okay, so now I just finished my 30 half double crochets, and we want to now change to our red yarn. So I'm going to snip off my white yarn. I can leave a small tail. I don't need a very long one. Okay, and then I'm going to take my red yarn. Okay, and I'm going to, what I need to do next is join this round with a slip stitch into the top of the first half double crochet I made, not the chain 2, but the top of the half double crochet, the first one. So I'm going to insert my hook in there, and then I'm going to take my red yarn and I'm going to pull up a loop of the red yarn, see, and then I'm going to make my slip stitch. Okay, and then I want to snug up that white yarn where I just cut it, okay, the tail, and then now going on with the red yarn, we are going to chain 1. Okay, had to look at my pattern here. Okay, so if you want to, you can take a moment and tie the tail, the beginning tail of the red, and then the white tail where you cut off. You can tie those together to secure them on the inside there in a knot. Okay, like that. And then you can even snip the tails short. It's all going to be on the inside. Okay. Okay, so now we're ready to go on. And it says, now we did chain 1 right there, remember that, okay? And now we're going to be working in the back loops only, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of the half double crochets all the way around. We're going to do 1 single crochet into each one, but we're working in the back loops only, okay? So back loops only of this first stitch. And we're going to do a single crochet. Okay, now we can take our marker and put our marker into that first single crochet there that we made. And now do 1 single crochet in the back loop of each stitch all the way around. And I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I just finished that first round of the red, and I did 1 single crochet in each stitch around in the back loop only. Okay, so now I'm going to remove my marker, and I'm going to slip stitch into that first stitch to close off that round, or fasten, you know, to join the round. And then going on to rounds 3, 4, and 5, we're going to do it the same way. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, so 30 single crochets. We're not going to change the stitch count, but for rows 3, 4, and 5, we don't have to worry about putting it in the back loop only again. We're going to do under both loops. Okay, so there's my first single crochet. Put my marker in there in that first stitch. Okay, and now I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around for 3 rounds, rounds 3, 4, and 5. And I will meet you up when I get finished with round 5, okay? Okay, so I just finished round 5. I took my marker out, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round to finish off that round. Okay, going on to round 6, we're going to chain 1. I'm going to single crochet into the first 3 stitches, so 1 single crochet in the first stitch. I'm going to put my marker in that first stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and 1 single crochet in the next stitch. So 3 single crochets, okay? And now I'm going to do the invisible decrease. Okay, so under the first front loop only of the first stitch, under the front loop only of the next stitch, and then unite them together with a single crochet. And then that's our sequence all the way around. So 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to do an invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches. Okay, so repeat that all the way around, and I will meet you when we get back to the marker. Okay, so I got to the end of round 6. I now have 24 stitches all the way around my circle. Going on to round 7, first I'm going to take my marker out, slip stitch into that first single crochet to finish off that round, and then going on to round 7, we're just going to chain 1 and then single crochet in the first stitch, put our marker back, and then round 7 is just a regular round where I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. The stitch count is going to stay at 24, okay? And so I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I got back to the marker again, so I'm going to take my marker out, slip stitch into that first single crochet to finish off the round. And that is the end of round 7. So we still have 24 stitches all the way around our opening, our circle, okay? Going on to round 8, we're going to do another decrease round. So we're going to chain 1, single crochet in the first 2 stitches, just one in each stitch. So there's our first stitch, and put my marker in there. And then we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. Okay, so we have 2 single crochets, just 1 in each stitch. And now we're going to do a decrease the same way, invisible decrease. Okay, and that's our sequence. So it's 1 single crochet each in the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 and there's 2, and then do an invisible decrease in the next over the next 2 stitches. Okay, now we're going to repeat that all the way around, and we should have 18 stitches when we get around back to the marker. So I will meet you when I get to the marker. Okay, so I got back to the marker. We're going to take our marker out. We're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet of the round to finish off our round. And then going on to round 9, we're just going to repeat round 7 where we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around, so we will still have 18 stitches all the way around. Okay, so single crochet in the first stitch, place your marker in there to mark your first stitch, and then single crochet 1 in each stitch all the way around. Okay, and I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I'm back to my marker again. That was round number 9, and all we did was 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Okay, so we still have 18 stitches all the way around our circle. Going on to round 10, we're going to remove our marker and slip stitch into that first stitch to finish off our round. Chain 1, and then go on to round 10. We're going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch and put our marker in there. And then we're going to do an invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches. Okay, and then we're going to repeat that sequence all the way around. So 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then an invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches. Okay, so repeat that sequence all the way around, and I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 10. We have 12 single crochets all the way around our circle. We're going to remove our marker and slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round to fasten off our round. Okay, so now for round 11, we're just going to do the same thing as round 7. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, keeping our stitch count at 12. So I did put my first single crochet in there, and now I'm going to put my marker in there to mark that as the first of the round. And then I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around for a total of 12. Okay, and I will meet you when I get back to the marker. Okay, so I just finished round 11. Going on to round 12, we're going to take our marker out so we can join the round by slip stitching into that first single crochet. Okay, so now we're going to do a chain 1, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease all the way around. We're going to do it 6 times, so that way we can get down from 12 stitches down to 6 stitches. Okay, so going into the first stitch, front loop only, and then in the second stitch, front loop only, so that we can unite them together in a single crochet. Okay, and like I said, we're doing it 6 times, so I'm not even going to put my marker in. So that was my first one. Going to my next one, same thing, invisible decrease, so that's number 2, and again invisible decrease, 3, invisible decrease, number 4, invisible decrease, number 5, and then invisible decrease, number 6. Okay, so now we have 6 stitches all the way around. I'm going to slip stitch into that first invisible decrease to finish off my round. We have 6 stitches around that top there. Now we're going to do rounds 13, 14, and 15, and we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. That would be 3 rounds. Okay, so we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a single crochet in the first stitch. Okay, place our marker there, and then like I said, we're going to do 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Okay, which there's only 6 stitches around, so it should take us just a few minutes to do that. And I will meet you up when I get finished with round 15. Okay, I just finished round 15, still having just 6 stitches all the way around my circle, and I went ahead and slip stitched into the first stitch of the round to finish off that round. Now we're going to cut our yarn, just a little bit of a tail to use to close up the top. Since I did a slip stitch, I'm going to just pull my yarn through Okay, taking my yarn needle, and then I'm going to fasten off just like I did the top of the head. I'm not fasten off, I'm just going to draw this closed by going under the front loops, alternating from the outside to the inside. In the next stitch I'm going to go from the inside to the outside, just working in the front loops all the way around, the outside to the inside. The next stitch, the inside to the outside. Okay, and then you just pull on your yarn and it will draw that to a close. Okay, and then now I'm just going to weave my ends in here. Okay, just like that, and then just insert your hook into the tip there and then draw your tail into the inside of the hat. And pull it through. Okay, so I'm going to take a break. As you can hear, my dog is wanting to be let out. So I will be right back and we will go on to Santa's beard. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so we got finished with our hat. Okay, so that's what it's going to be looking like. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to work on the pom-pom, okay? There's instructions given on how to make a pom-pom. You don't have to worry about having a pom-pom maker. So let's see. Okay, so first we're going to cut a length of yarn that's for us to tie our center. So you want to do like maybe 12 inches or something, you know. You can always trim it later and set that aside. Okay. So taking our white yarn, it says, we don't need our hook. Okay, so it says wrap color A around 2 fingers 20 times, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like that. So I'm going to keep wrapping until I get 20 times around 2 fingers, okay? And I will meet you up when I get finished wrapping. Okay, so I wrapped 20 times around. Now I'm going to cut. This is with my opposite hand. I don't know if it'll cut. No, it won't cut, of course. Okay, because this is what I cut with. So I'm going to pull this off of my fingers carefully, okay? Just like that, and I'm going to lay it down on the surface, okay? And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut that yarn with the correct hand this time. Okay, now I'm going to take the yarn that I cut, and I'm going to set that coil of yarn on top of it, and then I'm going to tie this together really tightly in the middle. Okay, really tight. And I'm going to put a double knot. Really tight. And then I'm going to wrap it around to the other side and bring the yarn up and put a knot on this side as well. Okay. Now I'm going to take my scissors and you're going to cut through the loops. Okay. And that will open up the pom-pom. Okay, did I get it all? Like there's another one right there. I am not that great of a pom-pom maker. Okay, now let's do the other side. If you have a very small pom-pom maker, you feel free to, my finger was stuck in my scissors. Feel free to use a pom-pom maker if you want to, okay? Now we're just going to kind of fluff this up here. And then you take your scissors, and that's a very sad looking pom-pom right now. But you're going to take your scissors and then you will trim it to make it look more like a pom-pom. Okay, so I'm going to keep trimming mine until I get it looking better. And I will be back when I get my pom-pom trimmed, okay? Okay, so I got my pom-pom pretty well trimmed. I'm not the, like I said, I'm not the best at making pom-poms, but it'll do, okay? So now I'm going to yarn up my needle with the end of my pom-pom, these tails, these two tails. So I'm going to put the yarn on one tail on my needle, and I'm going to go down into the center of my pom-pom, I mean my hat, and pull that yarn through like that tail, okay? And now I'm going to get the other one and do the same thing, but of course I'll go through a not the same hole where I inserted the white tail. I will put it real close to it, you know, next to it, like that. And then bring it to the inside, like that, okay? And then I'm going to kind of turn my hat inside out here a little bit and tie these tails together in a knot to attach my pom-pom to the tip of my Santa hat. Okay. So pop it right side out, and I'm just going to poke those ends inside there. So there is my Santa hat. Okay. Okay, so the next thing we need to make is Santa's beard. I believe that's the next thing on the list here. Yes. Okay, so taking our white yarn again and our crochet hook, we are going to attach with a slip stitch onto the hook. Now, this time when I do this, I'm going to leave a beginning tail pretty long because I'm thinking I can use that when I'm sewing the beard onto the head and also the hat onto the head as well. And so I'm going to leave a pretty long tail here in the beginning before I start my slip stitch. Okay? Like that. Okay, so now it says to chain 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so same thing as before. I'm going to go all the way to 16 and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm got 16 chains here on my hook. So now I'm going to go on to row 1. This is going to be working in rows. 1 single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Okay. Just like that. And then it says 1 single crochet in each chain all the way to the end, and we will have a total of 15 single crochets across. So I'm going to get working on mine, and I will meet you up when I get to the end and have 15 single crochets. Okay, so I finished row 1. I've got 15 single crochets all the way across. Okay, and now I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn, and then for row 2 I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to make 15 single crochets all the way back to the other end. Okay, 1 single crochet into each single crochet across, and I will have 15 all the way across. So I'll meet you up when I get to the other end. Okay, I'm at the end of row 2 and I've got 15 single crochets all the way across. Okay, going on to row 3, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. On row 3 we're going to do a single crochet 2 together, and now for this I'm not going to do an invisible decrease. I'm just going to do the single crochet 2 together, and so it says single crochet 2 together over the first 2 stitches. So insert your hook into the first stitch, draw up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, draw up a loop, and then yarn over and draw through all 3 loops on your hook. Okay, so that is a single crochet 2 together. Okay, and now it says do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way across until you have 2 stitches left. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, I'm at the end, almost at the end of the row here, and I've got 2 stitches left, and so in those last 2 stitches I'm going to do another single crochet 2 together. Okay, so insert my hook into the first stitch, draw up a loop, insert into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and draw through all 3 loops on your hook. Okay, so there is an in single crochet 2 together. Okay, so that was row 3. And now it says I'm going to be repeating row 3 5 more times, and what you're going to be doing is you keep doing it until you end up with only 3 single crochets on your on your piece left, because see, each time we're going down 2 single crochets because we're decreasing on either end. So like we started out with 15, well now we have 13 on our hook. I mean, not our hook, on our piece. Okay, so we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do single crochet 2 together in the first 2 stitches, just like that, and then we're going to single crochet all the way across until we have 2 stitches left, and then we will do the single crochet 2 together in the next 2 stitches. Okay, and I will meet you up. We'll keep doing that every, for every round until we have only 3 stitches across on our piece. Three stitches left. Okay. Okay, I will meet you when I get back to that point. Okay. Okay, so I just finished the last row, and I ended up with 3 stitches, okay, left, decreasing on each end, okay, just like we were doing, okay. And then going on to the next set of instructions, it says, I'm going to replace my hook there. It says chain 1 and turn, and now we're going to do a single crochet 3 together. And the way you do that is insert your hook in the first stitch, draw up a loop, into the second stitch, draw up a loop, and into the third stitch, draw up a loop. And now you have 4 loops on your hook, and now you're going to yarn over and draw through all 4 loops, and that will bring the beard down to a point. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then it says we're going to fasten off, and since this is not the tail that we're going to do any sewing with, we don't have to cut it very long. Okay, and so now I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm just going to pull that yarn through and then snug it down. Okay, and now we will take our yarn needle and we will just run it like up the back, just to hide our yarn tail. Okay, so let me do that and I will be right back. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to sew our ornament together here. Okay, so we take our yarn needle, go ahead and yarn your needle with that long tail that we started with at the beginning of the beard. And we're going to use that to sew it onto the face. Okay, so I have where we joined our rounds, it's a little bit noticeable of a seam, so I want to make sure that is at the back. Okay, and so I'm going to place my beard on here. And actually you can go ahead and let's place the hat on the head, so then that way it'll kind of give us an idea where everything's going to be placed at. Let's see, I'm going to put the seam, both of the seams where we joined at the back of the hat. Oops, no, it's right there. Okay, just like that. Okay, so we snug the hat on there. It gives us an idea of where it's going to, where we need to stitch it on at. Okay, just like that. Just kind of tuck the head up in there, and then now let's get our beard, and we just want to leave a space, sorry, where we're going to put on the eyes and the little smile, and the ends of the beard actually we want to come up and meet the hat. Okay, And I've got some pins here. I'm going to use some pins. I like to use these long pins just to kind of secure my beard, hold it in place while I am sewing on the beard. Just pin it in like that just to hold it in place, okay? And now I'm going to take my yarn tail, and in fact, since it's going to be touching the hat, I can actually kind of attach it to the hat, the ends of the beard, to the hat, and then into the head, and back up into the beard again. Like that, see? We may want to do a few stitches that way. Just kind of to unite it together. So I went into the head and then up into the hat as well, like that, and then back again into the beard again. Like that. Okay, see how that secures that. And then as far as the rest of it, I'm just going to go across the top here, catching, you know, the beard and then into the head. And I'm going to stitch that all the way across, okay, until we get to the other side. And then I will do the same thing where I'm going to attach the beard into the hat part, okay? So I'll meet you up back when I'm get across the beard here, work across the beard. Okay, so I've got to the other side of the beard. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into the beard, into the head, and up through the hat. Just to unite it together, or connect it, okay? Let's see. Like that. Just kind of stitch it where it will get drawn up toward the hat. See that? Okay, well, that looks good. Okay, so now see, I can take these pins out. And the next thing I want to do now is I'm going to do those same type of stitches, and I'm going to go all the way around, securing the hat to the head, okay? So into the hat, into the head, and then back up through the hat again, just like that. And so let me do that, and I'm going to do that all the way around, and I will meet you when I get to the end, okay? Okay, so I worked my way all the way around the head. Yeah. Okay, so I worked my way all the way around the head, attaching the hat, or sewing the hat down to the head. So now I'm just going to insert my needle in, and I'm just going to go all the way across, just to hide my tail, like that. And then I will take my scissors and cut my yarn. Okay, so there you go. Now, the next thing we need to do is let's go ahead and stitch on our eyes. Okay, so I got a length of black thread yarn here. It's DK weight yarn, and I'm going to yarn up my needle with that there. Okay, and then I'm going to come from the side somewhere and probably through the head, where it's red, and then I'm going to decide where I want to put my eyes. Think about right there. Then come up the front, okay? Leave this sticking out the back. And then I'm going to just go up one stitch here, and I'm going to go through the same stitches maybe 2 or 3 times just to get a good where I like the eye. Actually, I'm just going to come out somewhere up here. Okay, so there's my first eye. Okay, and now I'm going to go back through that same hole and get over to where I want the next eye to be. Let's see. Probably 2 or 3 stitches over. And then you can take your yarn needle and kind of pull that eye back out if it was too tight. Okay, and then I'm going to take my black yarn and I'm going to cut it where you can't see it, close to the end. I mean, you know, close to the hat. And then of course you can take your yarn needle and then pull that hat out where you can't see the black. Okay, so there is what it looks like so far. Okay, and now we need to get some red yarn, a little red yarn, to give him a little face. And just refer to the picture on the pattern as far as the placement. I'm going to get a piece of red yarn here. Okay, and then I'm going to stitch on the face, I mean the smile. It's just between the eyes, but it's where it's in the beard area. I'm going to come in from the side to the point where I want the edge of the mouth. Okay, and then I'm going to go to where I'm wanting it to end. And then I'm going to come up in the center there, but down lower, and that'll be like the bottom part of my smile. Just like that. But I'm not going to pull it tight. I'm just going to pull it and kind of hold it with my thumb until I get it to where the way I like it. And then I'm going to take a very tiny stitch and go over the red yarn, the smile, and go into either the same hole or close to it from where I came up at. Okay, and then I'm just going to come out the back somewhere. Okay, and then I'm just slowly pull that through till I like it. You can pull on this front, the first strand there if you need to, until you get to the way you like it. Okay, just like that. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to trim close to the surface there on either end, and then I'll take my needle and pull that end on the inside away from where you can't see it. Like that. And this too. Okay. Okay, so there is our Santa. I think he's looking quite cute. And now I'm going to bend over his hat to the side, just like that. And then you can take some of the some more of the red yarn and tack that hat down. So we can do that. Just like that. Just like that, see? And then I can tie a knot on over here. Wait, first I want to come up the same hole that I went in at, like that, or close to it. And then I'll tie the ends together in a knot. Okay. And then another thing you can do is come up the top, go back in that hole, but then come up the top and use this yarn, red yarn, as a hanging thread for your ornament. Just like tie a knot at the end. I'm going to unthread it pull up the length, okay, to where you're wanting it. Yeah. And then use that tail to tie a knot. Like that. Okay. And then you can take your hook and pull that yarn to the inside. Okay. And that one too. And pull it to the inside. So there's our Santa ornament, and it's complete and ready to hang on the tree with our hanging string there. So thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!